Fellow graduates and family members, as well as faculty members, friends, and members of the McFarland community, I am Callie Korth, and I want to thank you for your time and the honor to serve as your Class of 2020 president. Most speeches start their speech off with a quote or a cheesy joke, but I would like to share a memory with you. There is a leadership camp held in Ripon, Wisconsin, and at this camp, there is a poem called The Dash by Linda Ellis that the staff reads each year that resonates with me, and I'd like to begin my speech by sharing a piece of it with you. I read of a man who stood to speak at the funeral for a friend. He referred to the dates on the tombstone from beginning to the end. He noted that first came the date of birth and spoke the following date with tears, but he said what mattered most of all was the dash between those years. For that dash represents all the time they spent alive on earth, and now only those who loved them know what that little line is worth. For it matters not how much we own, the cars, the house, the cash. What matters is how we live and love and how we spend our dash. This poem taught me that it's not about the number of years in your life, but how you make those years count. When we look back at our educational experience, it seems as if it were over in the blink of an eye, except for when we were trying not to drown in things like schoolwork and sports. So often we take for granted all that time we had together, from awkward cafeteria flash mobs to overpriced scholastic book fairs. 12 years is a lot of time to establish memories and spend our dashes together. I remember telling my mom in regards to college, I am so ready to have a fresh start. But the thing is, there's never truly a fresh start. Sure, seasons change and we grow older. We say our high school goodbyes and move on to college or work, but there's never a clean slate. These memories make us who we are. The small aspects that cultivated joy, the pain we felt, the excitement that resonated with us, the people we brought into our lives. All those memories stay with us. I'd like to propel us back to a simpler time, to give us some peace of mind amongst today's chaos. If you became part of McFarland's Class of 20 family a year ago or a decade ago, I welcome you to remember these memories or your own memories of the past 12 years as I share some of mine. Kindergarten. Our lives together were just beginning. The biggest problems we had then were finding unbroken crayons and trying not to start fights over who was the line leader in class or who got to the swings first. We had what seemed like hours of recess, those weird backpack things on our chairs, and foldable tables that came out from the walls in the cafeteria. Looking back on everything, I think sometimes we underestimate how much these simple memories gave us purpose. Primary school. This carefree time left its mark on all of us, especially because when we got done with our assignment in computer class, we got to play with kid pics. Wabisa. We definitely underestimated just how cool it was to literally have a rock wall in our gym. Plus, we can't forget Jump Rope for Heart, where we knocked on hundreds of doors so we could get a free lunch with the teacher, or when we all cheered as loud as we possibly could at our teammates to be the best class in our grade for the Olympiad. Not to mention that random flash mob we had to Party Rock Anthem. I couldn't tell you why it happened or who coordinated it, but that single event was our 10 seconds of fame. And with the help of technology, I can share that video with all of you now. We then begin our segue from sock hops to sixth grade, reaching the most action-packed years of our classroom experience, middle school. We had War of Warlords, the money unit, where everyone wanted to be a banker and Klaus Schwer kicked everyone's butt in his sale of garden statues, quarterly fun days, and we also can't forget about the time Mr. Kubitschek called a foul on Max Hansen during the student-teacher basketball game, and we made our anger pretty apparent. Even though it was almost 7 years ago, we cannot forget about Timberly. If I'm being honest, I forgot what that blue juice tastes like, but the memory surrounding it and the hype of it will last forever. High school. The most chaotic and influential years. The years where we discovered who we are and who we didn't want to be, the days where we felt defeated and the times we felt invincible. These were the days when we formed our Dash. When we were freshmen and we discovered that we couldn't skate by on late homework assignments and that there was an entire food bar we could choose from at lunch. Sophomore year somewhat blended into everything else, but we started to discover all that life had to offer. Junior year, the year that chewed us up and spit us out with things like grades and getting into college, but hey, we survived, right? Summer of senior year, life got real. We were applying to college, looking for work and internships, preparing to depart on our own paths. Senior year, everything changed and we changed along with it. We had our highs and our lows, but we grew and we learned to appreciate everything because you never know what you have until it's gone. As we've matured throughout our scholastic career, I realized just how many memories we can create in 12 years. From walking to the McFarland House Cafe during gym to pulling all-nighters cramming for physics tests, we've done it all and we've done it together. We've lost, we've found, we've pushed through the hardest of times, and as cliche as it sounds, it was easier because we had each other. After we graduate, we may see each other every day or never again. But in the end, the memories we have is what reigns true. Class of 2020, no matter where our paths lead us, we will always be bonded by our struggles and our triumphs. Even if we are alone, we have memories that will never fade, and I can't thank you enough for that. As we finish this chapter, I encourage you to think about how you choose to live your Dash, because our lives are not measured in years, but by those we touch and the memories we create. As we move on to our next adventure, I invite you, the class of 2020, to go and live your Dash, wherever it may lead you. Thank you.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Andrew Burdell, and I have the privilege of serving as Superintendent of Schools here at McFarland. It is an honor to speak to you today as we celebrate our McFarland High School class of 2020. I wish we could be celebrating together in person. What does one say to a class of students who are graduating in the midst of a global pandemic? What wisdom or encouragement does one offer to their families, to their teachers? To be completely honest, I'm at a loss. I've never experienced anything like this before. When was the last time every individual in our country was personally impacted by world events as deeply as we have been this spring? Perhaps during the Vietnam War or World War II. Yet even then, schools weren't closed for months at a time. Everything about COVID-19 seems to be uncharted territory. But if we stop and think for a moment, maybe it's not quite as uncharted as we might imagine. When people ask me what it's been like for schools during the health crisis, I describe it like this. Think of school as if it's your favorite sweater. Now, turn it inside out and put it on backwards. It's the same sweater, but it definitely won't fit the same or feel the same, and it certainly won't look the same. And over the past couple of months, that's exactly what we've done to our school system. We've turned it inside out and backwards. It's still school, and yet it is most definitely not the same. One of the biggest, and for many of us the most difficult changes, is that we don't get to see each other in person. To one degree or another, we're all wired to be social creatures interacting face to face. Zoom allows for some of that, but definitely not everything. And for some of us, not being thrust into a crowd of 1,000 people every day has been wonderful. Regardless of your own comfort level with being in social settings, how have you stayed connected with your friends, with your family, with your teachers, with your colleagues? Do those connections feel more important, more special than before COVID-19? I know mine do. Figuring out how to stay connected but in new ways, or maybe through many of the same ways we did before, but relying on them more. That may be new, but it's not totally unfamiliar. Another challenge has been organizing our days into some sort of routine. We haven't had a first block class or a passing period or a designated time for lunch since March 16th. And yet I'll bet you have a routine. Sleeping, eating, hopefully some reading. Challenge yourself to learn something new, staying healthy physically and mentally. My routine, to be honest, has been pretty simple. I start out just about every day on a conference call with the Public Health Department. We go through the latest updates on the COVID-19 data and the updated public health orders and the updated planning guidance. And then I meet on Zoom with my colleagues and we talk about how we're going to stay connected as a school family and keep learning going. And I share all of the updates from public health and we plan what to do next. And all of that works pretty well, except for when there's another conference call at the end of the day where they announce new rules or new guidance or new health conditions, and then all of those plans we just made are out the window and we need to regroup. Hopefully you're not on a conference call every day with the Public Health Department, but I'll bet that you've experienced something like that in your world too. You think you have a plan, and then it changes due to things that are completely out of your control. That gets old pretty quickly, but it's not really new. Being flexible and resilient were important before COVID-19, and they're perhaps even more so now. Same sweater, different fit and feel. I think the most important lesson I've learned over the past couple of months is not to let COVID-19 define me. I didn't suddenly stop being a husband, a dad, a teacher, a superintendent, a musician, any more than you stopped being who you are. We've all had to adapt and change, and we have definitely experienced loss and sadness in that. That's very real and very important to recognize. And sadness and loss can't be the end of the story. If it is, then we've let COVID define us. My parting wisdom, for what it's worth, is this: hold on to what you've learned about yourself, about how you connect with other people, about how you learn, about how you stay healthy, both physically and mentally, about how to help others, and how to ask others to help you. Hold on to all of that and use it to make your way in the world. Write your own story, whatever that looks like. Define yourself. And don't be afraid to revise that definition as you grow. Congratulations, McFarland High School class of 2020, and stay McFarland strong.
Thank you, Dr. Burdell. Good afternoon, families, teachers, fellow students, and all of our supporters. I would like to thank you sincerely for investing time in congratulating the class of 2020 today. Especially under these unique circumstances, your time and congratulations means so much to our class. There is a myth that Chinese bamboo plants appear dormant for about 5 years while they grow roots. And then suddenly, in a matter of weeks, they sprout to heights of 90 feet. That's about as tall as high-rise buildings in downtown Madison. All of their growth goes unnoticed for years, but without it, they would not be able to grow so rapidly. We, the class of 2020, have also grown rapidly in the past 4 years. This strong, healthy growth would not have been possible without humility as the catalyst. Humility is the root from which we can grow in character. Humility is obedience and service without desire for recognition. Being humble leads to the growth of many other good traits: performing good deeds, being virtuous, and selflessly serving others. Humility is the unseen growth of these roots, putting in work for the greater good. It's what inspires us to put others before ourselves and to think of ourselves less. I've observed humility in you all, my classmates, in the past 4 years, and it's something that I hope we all continue to grow in. Our class has excelled in many, many areas. I wish I had time to talk about all of them, but today I'm going to emphasize our exceptional athletic accomplishments. Our class humbly led many teams in the past 4 years. 2 trips to state for boys soccer, a state runner-up title for girls volleyball, a trip to state for baseball, many successes in cross-country, swimming, and tennis, and becoming conference champions in football last fall. We obviously set our sights really high and strove for lofty goals. But I saw that our determination was not driven by the desire or expectation for reward. The countless hours of practice, lifting weights, and building friendships with teammates, growing the root system, was much more meaningful than any trophy. Beneath the successes, I saw a willingness to put in work, even if it goes unnoticed. In life beyond high school, the fruits of humility will not be as obvious as a sports win. The internal, unseen work of humility will result in a habit of doing good in our daily lives by putting others first. In a sense, during high school, we've all just started to grow our root systems. The next 4 years and the decades that will follow are an opportunity to continue to grow deep and strong roots, roots of humble dedication. Ones that may go unnoticed, but will undoubtedly guide us and allow us to do good. Focusing on this foundation allows us to grow in character. I encourage you all to take a moment today to reflect on high school. What ways have you grown? What helped you to flourish? What do you need to weed out of your life? The seed has been planted, and now we must grow in humility in order to strive to bring good into this world which is in such desperate need of our service. Just like the bamboo plants, our roots will catalyze growth. Today marks a big milestone in our lives, leaving the physical and virtual halls of McFarland High School and venturing out into the world. I know this isn't how any of us expected senior year to end, but today is a time to reminisce and hope nonetheless. We reminisce on all of our past growth, and we look with hope to the future that we will continue to grow deep, strong roots of humility that catalyze our ability to be the good that our world needs. Graduation isn't just a celebration of the past 13 years of education. It's also the start of our lives beyond McFarland. We, the class of 2020, have achieved great things over the past 4 years and have truly built character that's worth celebrating. Congratulations, class of 2020. I cannot wait to see the ways that we will grow and advance the common good. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Brian Semin, and I had the honor of being the class of 2019 Spartan Award winner. I'd first like to congratulate the class of 2020 on making it to graduation and making it through all the uncertainties we faced over the last months. While I know it must feel difficult to miss out on so many laughs over these past couple months, let me assure you that in the following months you will experience many firsts that will spark new friendships, experiences, and memories that you will cherish and will venture into a new journey that will take you into the rest of your lives. After I won the award, the 2 questions I got asked most were, did I know I was going to win the award beforehand? And what does the award mean? I just respond by saying no, and I don't really know what the award means. All I knew is that if it weren't for the pep talk that Derek Shorten gave me, I don't think I would have been able to make it through that speech. So this year, in presenting the award to the 2020 recipient, I wanted to explain what the Spartan Award represents and how much of an honor it is to be given this award. To be eligible for this award, you have to be in the top 20% of your class academically to show your dedication to academics. From there, the rest of the class of 2020 voted on who they thought represented what it means to be a Spartan. To be a Spartan does not mean that you are only strong academically, but you also participate and play an active role in other activities such as sports, music, theater, and any other clubs that McFarland High School has to offer, as well as being an active member in our community and volunteering with local organizations and showing your school spirit in whatever way you feel comfortable. The classmates' vote narrows it down to 5 students who are then voted on by the teachers and staff to pick the student who will become the recipient of that year's Spartan Award. The Spartan Award is a tremendous honor, and this year's recipient should be very proud of the impact that they had on their fellow classmates, teachers, and the whole McFarland School District. With that being said, this year's Spartan Award winner is graduating with magna cum laude honors is a member of National Honor Society. She was the Vice President of Finance of our DECA. She was also a member of the softball team and was a captain of the volleyball team that finished runner-up at state in the fall. Please congratulate the class of 2020 Spartan Award winner, Lizzie Fortune.
Thank you, Brian. It is an incredible honor to receive this award. I always try my best to live by the standard of a Spartan, whether it's in the classroom, on the court or field, or just in life. I would like to thank Mr. Finstad, Mr. Burdell, the rest of the administration, and my classmates. Also, thank you to my family and friends who have always been there to support me. Next, I want to thank my coaches and my teachers. They have taught me many things, not only about the sport or in the classroom, but life lessons that I will always carry with me. My teammates have also always been there to support me, so thank you to you all. Finally, I would like to thank my parents. Thank you for always supporting me and being there for me. Best of luck to all my classmates of 2020.
Fellow graduates, friends, faculty, and community members, it is an honor to be speaking to you. While these next months may mark the end of the class of 2020's high school journey, they also signify the beginning of our lives as an individual beyond the walls of McFarland High School. I can only hope that you all are as excited and hopeful as I am for the future that awaits us in the coming months and years, particularly after what we have endured these past several weeks. If you know anything about me, it's probably that I am a total science nerd. I'm a lover of logic and numbers. And while I've taken countless science classes and have had at least one course with every science teacher, I find myself continually fascinated with biology, especially the theory of evolution. The theory of evolution by natural selection is known as the process by which organisms change over time as a result of changes in heritable physical or behavioral traits. Additionally, a critical part of this theory states that individuals themselves cannot evolve. This is the one time when I disagree with science. Populations and individuals are capable of evolving. I believe that it is not only possible for an individual to evolve, but that every single member of the class of 2020 has already evolved in their life and will continue to do so in whatever situations they may encounter in the future. We learned to evolve during middle school as we struggled to decide if we belonged in band or choir, if we were die-hard cross-country runners or wanted nothing to do with tennis shoes. We evolved in high school as our friendships changed and we struggled through difficult classes. We adapted when a pandemic was declared and distance learning became the new normal. Similarly, we will continue to evolve and arise to the challenge of whatever the future may have in store for us. Some of us will evolve as we enter college and learn to be independent, as we switch majors and minors, as we realize we hate 8 a.m. classes and vow to never do such a horrific thing ever again. Others of us will evolve as we undertake a job or apprenticeship, as we sit through our first job interview, as we are forced to manage money and realize that we unfortunately don't have room in our budget for 3 iced coffees a month. We will evolve as we break up with a significant other and when we become old enough to spend time with old friends from back in the day. We will all grow as we encounter life's glories, hardships, tragedies, and miracles. I truly believe that if we can encounter a challenge as grueling and demanding as these past several weeks have been, we will be able to handle whatever the future has in store for us. However, this would not be possible without the love and support of countless teachers, friends, and family members. On behalf of the class of 2020, I would like to thank everyone that has unconditionally supported us since the start of our kindergarten journey. Though we may not know what the future holds for us, we do know that we could not have made it to this day without you. I could not be more proud of the class of 2020 and what we have accomplished in the face of a once-in-a-lifetime crisis. I say with confidence that if we can evolve to thrive during these past weeks, we can evolve to meet any situation and challenge in the future. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Jeff Finstead, and as principal of McFarland High School, it's now my chance to present to you the class of 2020. There's no doubt this is not the way I wanted to do this, but sometimes you just have to accept the situation you're in, the cards you're dealt, and do the best you can. I think there's a saying somewhere about making lemonade out of lemons, so I'm going to do the best I can to make lemonade today. I have no intention of dwelling on our current circumstances. It is what it is. There's nothing to be gained by focusing on what was missed. Instead, let's go back and talk about the class of 2020 and the impact they had on McFarland High School. I want to do that by first sharing you a story that I had with a member of the class of 2020, Alton Slane. I always say that Alton and I developed a relationship over the past few years that was best described as based on need. Through hard work and perseverance, Alton worked with the high school, and we were able to line up a youth apprenticeship opportunity with Findorf Construction. What that meant was Alton was not going to work in the school, he was going to work on the school. He was part of the construction crew that remodeled the high school, and he now has his hands everywhere in this building. It was awesome to see Alton change from a high school student to a worker when he simply put his neon vest and white helmet on. Sometime during this past year, Alton asked to speak to me, not me asking to speak to Alton. He walked in my new office, looked around, and said, "This turned out good." And he was right. Not only was the new office great, but the entire school project turned out well. And Alton literally had his hands on every part of the building, and it's turned out great. That being said, class of 2020, when you look back at your high school career, it'll be easy to reflect back on the past 2 months and focus on what you missed. I'm asking you to focus on what went good. You've probably developed some friendships that will indeed last you a lifetime. Maybe some of your relationships ended, but you learn a lot about yourself from those people or that person. Maybe you found your passion and you're on your way to a journey starting a career you enjoy. Maybe you can remember one performance where you absolutely nailed it and it really turned out good. For some of you, there are athletic memories. When you return to the building and walk into the gym, look at the most recent banners for volleyball, soccer, cross country, swimming, and baseball. There are a lot of you that have your names on those banners. I think that turned out good. When you walk into the PAC, you should be able to recall the role you had in Mamma Mia. It was actually and literally the performance of the year. I think that turned out good. Now this next one might be kind of touchy, but some members of the class of 2020 have accused me of dancing around issues in the past, so here we go. You're probably one of the most diverse classes McFarland High School has ever seen. During your time here, there were certain events that highlighted the concerns about race in our building. But you did not sit quietly. You started the Black Student Union. You took leadership positions in that organization. You started and led other groups that focus on mental health and other equity teams. You were the inspiration for the Spartan Peace Project. You participated in student panels in front of the entire district teaching staff, and you shared your stories. You probably don't see it, and life in our school is not what you want it to be, but I'm telling you, it's better. You have woken our staff, you have woken our student body, and you have forced us to look inward to create a school that is truly safe for everyone. It is a good start, but I promise you we are not done, because I make this promise to continue this initiative at MHS, but you need to promise me to continue to use your voice when you leave this building and start your new journey. It's obvious this country needs your voice. There's another part of the conversation I had with Alton that I want to share. After we discussed the topic he brought to my office, he leaned back in his chair, looked at me, and said, "You know, we haven't talked in a while. How you doing?" And I'm not going to lie to you, that took me back a little bit. I don't remember if a student had ever asked me how I was doing. I don't know if Alton really knows how much I appreciated that small gesture, so thank you, Alton. I have something to tell you. During the past few months of crisis learning, many of you would reach out to me via email asking me questions. The interesting thing is that each and every email I received from a senior, somewhere in the email it said something to the effect, "I hope you are well." Every single one. That filled my bucket more than you can ever imagine. Here's an example. Mr. Finstead, I want to extend my gratitude to you because I know, as difficult as a time it has been for students, I can't imagine what our administration is going through. All of your kind emails and encouraging words haven't gone unnoticed. I hope all is well and you have been able to somewhat enjoy this time at home. Again, I truly appreciate all you've done for the senior class, not only this year, but since we have been freshmen. All the best, Maddie Johnson. Class of 2020, please continue to ask people, how are you doing? But do it sincerely, beyond the passing people by in the hallway and saying, hey, how are you? Really mean it. But most importantly, take the time to listen to their response. Those of us who live with privilege, when you see one of your black or brown friends, sincerely ask, how are you doing? If you stop and listen, you might just learn about how they have to think about living their daily lives. If you know someone who's struggling, stop and ask them, how are they really doing? And be sure to listen. If you do, you just might stop one suicide. If you know someone struggling with addiction, ask, how are you doing? And really listen. Because if you listen, you may just as well be stopping one more overdose. Please listen. Class of 2020, the faculty and staff of the McFarland School District appreciates how much better you've made our school district. You may not see it directly, but the impact is here. Please continue to make your voice heard, and at the same time ask how others are doing and listen to their response. If you continue to combine those actions, you will have a profound impact on the people you touch. It will turn out good. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you the class of 2020. And I want to say this to you now, class of 2020, I will inform Dr. Burdell in my role as principal at McFarland High School that you have met the graduation requirements set forth by the McFarland District Board of Education in the state of Wisconsin. We will distribute your diplomas to you on July 25th. I will see you there. I miss you.